All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Green. I'm a member of the school committee and the school building committee. This is our 10th community forum. Welcome. Happy Star Wars Day. We've got members of school administration, town administration, Fontaine Construction, but most importantly, we have Chris Blesson from TAP 8 Architects that's going to give us a presentation about where the project stands and what it looks like, most importantly. I would ask that if you have any questions, if you could please post them in the Q&A or raise your hand at the bottom of the screen and we'll get to you promptly. With no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Blesson. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Okay. Is that clear to everybody?
It's not. Yep.
Are good? Okay.
Good.
Okay, so today I'm just going to walk you through the project and where it's at. We do have the construction manager on the call and Compass is the OPM, and so I think between all of us, we should be able to answer any of the questions that may come up. First of all, we have the site plan here. This is what the site will look like when it's done, when construction is complete and all the students move in. The big notable thing here is where the building is located, and then that there's going to be, as it stands right now, there's two roads coming in and out of the site. One that connects out to East Street on the left side of the site, and then one that connects out to Washington Street on the right side of this view. And all of this together, we've had lots of traffic studies and things done where we can, we know that this will help with all the traffic concerns of two schools coming together, plan for the buses and all of that. So a lot of good, interesting site components here. Some of the things that came out of the visioning sessions early on, things like outdoor learning. So the twos, one here and one here, one here, all kind of situated around the classroom wings, which I'll show the floor plans in just a second. There's a student entry or main entry for the days and then for the daytime. And then this 6 is a community entry where the after hours use of like the auditorium or cafeteria or gym, things like that. It's a nice convenient access there. And then some nice features out on the north side of the site where there's a basketball court and some landscaping and amphitheater type seating features. And the entire site is really meant to kind of the site design is meant to kind of connect the building to the overall site. And you can see here the baseball fields and play fields that are out there now will remain and relatively untouched as part of this project. So that's the site plan as it is right now. These are the floor plans. So the first floor is on the left. Again, if this is the first time seeing this, the layout of the school is really around the proper orientation and teaming of delivering middle school education. And so the lower level is here, the first floor, but on this wing on the south end of the building, you can see there's these 3 distinct wings that poke out, and these are the 3 kind of neighborhoods for each grade. It's 3 stories tall, and so there's 3 teams, 3 neighborhoods per floor, and there's 3 grades. So this might be 6th grade on the lower level, 7th grade on the second floor, and 8th grade on the first floor, and these 3 floor plates stack perfectly and sort of mirror image each other all the way up. The other end of the north end or the community end of the first floor has the auditorium and the band room, cafeteria, and then sort of the back of house kitchen and mechanical spaces. And then right in the middle of everything is the administration suite where the principal and nurse and things like that are. There are 2 elevators in the building, one over by the community side and then one over here by the school or the academic side. And then on the second floor is where the auditorium connects down. So it's kind of stadium seating here flowing down into the lower level. So it's one big open auditorium. There's a media center library type space here, counseling, and then the gym and PE are on the second floor over here. And so this stair down on this area is what connects those. And so this is a pretty quick and easy access from outdoors or the parking area into the second floor for the gym. And then again, the second floor stacks pretty perfectly up and including the third floor as well. So those are the floor plan layouts, a lot of work going into those and how they stack and build on one another. So the current strategy for finished materials is there's a lot of brick on the building. It's a very maintenance friendly material, and it's also the most cost effective right now. So what we're showing you is sort of design intent, but the final colors, like, is it exactly one of these tones? Maybe not, but we're just showing you that our strategy here is to have maybe a base color that's a sort of solid, homogeneous tone, and then above that we have a more blended brick palette. The images on the right are actual samples that we've received from a brick manufacturer to just start to tease out what colors we think might work and might not. So this is just a moment in time. It's not final by any means. So the final color selections will be a few months from now. And then a good portion of the building has some CMU veneer. It's a very similar product to its masonry, but the modular is bigger. You can see with the utility brick we just looked at, it's about 4 inches by 12 inches. These CMUs are 16 inches by 8 inches. And the CMU just stands for concrete masonry unit. And but there are some nice versions out there. And so we're looking at doing the split face version and getting a variety of color. And so these are just two of the options the manufacturer sent us to review. And so we're sort of sorting through a whole bunch of different options and colors that we can select. But I'll point out some of the areas where these different materials show up. But for the most part, those are the two big major elements that you'll see on the building. We do also obviously have windows in the building, operable units inside of those. And so some nice glass with aluminum windows that are painted and will last a long time. We do have some minor spots where we have composite metal panel. These are just sandwich panels, but it's metal and it is usually typically reserved for like the higher up spots. Around the gym, we have these polycarbonate panels, which are translucent. And so they're really nice because they let a nice even quality of light into the gym. And most of the time, the gyms don't even need to have the lights on. So they're kind of nice to have there. And then we do have some moments where there's curtain wall to sort of build a more vertical feeling of the building. Okay, so here's the beginning of some of the renderings that we've been working on. This is, again, the 3 classroom wings down on this end. And then the auditorium is this tall space. The media center, you can see the library is right here in this corner. And then the gym over here with the sort of polycarbonate top to it. This is a shot that has all the lights on turned on in the building so you can actually see inside. So the brick material you saw before, it's the more homogeneous solid palette down below with the potentially blended palette up above. And then these little classroom bump outs here, these are the areas where we're thinking of doing the split face CMU. And so again, just trying to change up the palette a little bit, but not add too many materials or too many different colors or textures to the building. Here, you can see the parking circling around. The drop off would be right behind these trees here, and then the main entry with a canopy structure to kind of grab and keep kids safe while they're walking into the building. And by grab, I mean grab their attention into the building there. So this is on the west the east side of the building, coming down from Washington Street. So this is the one classroom wing here that you'll see first. And then you saw in the site plan that there's this access road on the back side that's really just there for sort of emergencies, any kind of building access around the back. And so that helps with that. But there is on that back elevation, there's going to be more CMU back there because it's not one of the forward-facing front elevations. This is circling back around to the southwest side of the building. So again, classroom wings, but you can see the palette coming to life, the blended portions here, the solid portions here, and then the concrete masonry units here with the split face. Zooming in on that a little bit, you can see where we might try to do a little bit of detail with the brick that helps create some shadow lines and stuff, just to use the same material to achieve some design aesthetic without having to have a bunch of details for changing materials or adding cost. You can see what I just spoke about here in this image as well. The stairs on the end of the building for safe egress. Here's that entry canopy into the main building, into the main entry. There is this little plaza area outside, extending out into the landscape towards the fields, with a little bit of a raised area. We envision that this probably would be blocked off in the mornings, most every morning, and then students, as they get dropped off in the queue on this sidewalk, the parents or cars would turn left and cycle back around and go out Washington Street, or circle down and potentially go out to East Street. And I think there's just an operations decision here to see how it works best when it's being fully utilized. The wrong way. And then here's a closer up view of that. These little boxes here are really intended to be vehicular deterrents, so someone can't get up on the curb and drive up on the sidewalk or something like that. And so same as these bollards over here, they're real solid and connected to the ground, so they prevent vehicular accidents on sidewalks here at the main entry. You can see in the background, this is a curtain wall with some metal panel at the top. You can kind of see in, and that's the link between the two buildings, or not the buildings, but the classroom section of the building and the public section of the building. A little bit of a closer up view of the main entry and the canopy. So again, a covered, students are coming in the building if it's inclement weather, or you could be standing out in this area and waiting for a ride and still have protection from rain or snow. And then you can see the media center up in the background there. Still circling around some of the same details here. This is, you can see in this shot, the two entries. So the community entry on the left, the main entry on the right. And then looking back towards the classroom wings again. And then here's the community entry, has some metal panel out with a canopy, so that also protected out in the front of the building. So moving to the interiors, this is the cafeteria. I think it's going to be a really pretty exciting space. The cafeteria is, one of those open, more publicly spaces, and the north-facing glazing in this view will allow us to get some good daylight into the building, but it also won't get glares for direct sunlight. And so that's one of the nice things about north-facing glazing. But remember earlier I talked about the amphitheater, and there's a basketball court, some other features outside this door. And so there will be an opportunity in the nicer weather days to have some students take their lunch outside and eat. And so it's just a nice feature right next door to the cafeteria. So a lot of potential there. This space is one of the technology labs. And there's 3 of these, one on each floor down in the classrooms, right in the middle of all the classrooms. They may each take on their own little bit of character and what the staff decide goes on in each of these. But for all intents and purposes, they're kind of an open space that has a lot of movable furniture, but very highly technically capable. What you see up here is a little pipe grid system, so you can like clamp things to that and do robotics or experiments in physics or whatever's happening. A lot of things can go on inside of a room like this, and so it's one of the real new things about the middle school that's really going to benefit the teaching and learning of the school. And then we have the classroom wings here. So up on the top left is an actual classroom setting. A lot of casework and sinks for the teachers. This little nook alcove here is what you saw in the elevations and massing where it bumps out of the building. And then teaching walls on both walls. So these whiteboards over here, but that also is mirrored on the wall to the left side that's out of view. So lots of technology in the rooms, good flexible furniture, storage inside the rooms, and good lighting. All these rooms should be pretty well naturally lit. And we're running through our calculations right now where you probably won't need the lights on most days to have a good light level for learning. And then one of the features of the classroom wings or the neighborhoods is that you can do breakout learning and make connections across the teams. So the middle school learning is really broke out into team learning with the different teachers across the hall and connected adjacent to each other. And so to build those connections, we want to we're making space out in the corridors where we kind of widen the shape of the corridor to allow for students to break out. They already do this to some degree at the middle schools, almost every school where students will break out, just go right outside the door and do some work. Well, now we're making that intentional and making it space that's actually usable and responds to things that currently happen in a sort of ad hoc kind of way. So that's one of the benefits of the building as well. And that's all I have for now. I'm happy to take some questions and look around.
Any questions or comments out there, folks? Does anybody in the panel have any comments? Well, that was quick. If we don't have any comments, chime in quickly. If we don't have any comments, we're going to call it a night.
Mark, we do have a question from David. Dave
Okay.
Clark.
Yep.
Hi. I think one of the reasons you're not getting comments is I think the Q&A in the chat, there's people are submitting them. Maybe you're not seeing those. I saw one.
I am on
having
the
said that, I'll ask my question. Can you talk a bit about the transition? Probably the year before it opens, what the plan is for the impact with respect to the existing school there, and whether there needs to be any coordination with Johnson, or is this all going to be so independent of that that's not really an issue?
So, Mr. Clark, I could take a stab at that and see if anybody else wants to add anything. There's going to be no impact on Johnson during the course of the construction. There will be quite a bit of impact on the Bird site, and we'll be presenting a look at that. Things need to go to the Conservation Commission and so forth. We'll be presenting a look at that before long. But once it's complete, both the Bird and Johnson students would move in simultaneously, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I was mostly wondering if there had to be adjustments for the current Bird students that year prior to opening, whether there needs to be any accommodations or how that would be handled.
Academically, no, but in terms of pickups and drop-offs, things will certainly be rerouted and so forth. So it'll be a little bit chaotic in the morning, to be honest, but that'd be about it.
Yeah, okay. So not in terms of classroom and resource space, that's not really.
No, the current building will not be impacted.
Okay. Yeah, I have another quick follow-up. That's, I guess it's lower on the priority scale, but I'm curious. So the high school assume you will continue to use that baseball field as their primary field. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and now I think much of the seating for the parents and the spectators is along that ridge and along the lower end of that parking lot. Will there be some accommodation in the design so that space can still accommodate spectators there?
Chris, I'd have to turn to you on that.
Yeah, let me share the site plan again. We're not doing anything that's not already there, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I see at the bottom end of that parking lot, looks like a row of trees, and I don't know if that implies there would be barriers there. I'm just curious if, because that is really the space right along there that I think the spectators tend to, it actually provides a great view of the field, elevated there above the field. So I'm wondering if that, in part of the planning, would still allow that use.
Sure. I think that what you'll find is that the edge of paving here is going to be pretty close to what the edge of paving is right now. You know, the little access road that goes around the gym of the bird.
Right.
And so these trees will be planted, and these won't be short. They'll be small trees when they get planted, but they're intended to grow up nice and large with a decent sized canopy. And so I would anticipate that someone could park along this edge and look out their windshield and see the game. But then it does, you can see the lines in the green area there. That's still the same hill. So there's still a good chunk of elevation change between the parking lot and the level that the field is actually on. And so if people want to bring a blanket and get a vista from, on the hill or something like that, that feature still exists. And I do think
I think the hill itself, though, I think that it's fairly well sloped, so that the spectators tend to bring chairs along the flat top of the ridge there and not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's areas here to continue the same practices. I don't think we're taking that completely away.
Okay. Like I said, it's probably a detail that maybe hasn't been getting a lot of thought, but I thought it would just raise it going forward.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks great.
So we have 2 more questions in the chat, and I'll yield to anybody that wants to speak to this. Can the neighbors on East Street what can they expect for construction this summer? And will there be any use of solar panels for powering the building? Chin or Chris, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first question, in terms of the neighborhood, what can the neighbors expect on East Street? Maybe Joe, would you be in a position to answer that?
Sure, Jen. So as far as this summer, the activities that are planned for the site right now are going to be focused around getting the site ready for construction, establishing some temporary parking and access for bird school that'll exist during construction. As far as neighbors on East Street specifically, the entrance to the future building is going to be off of East Street, and we will plan on establishing that this summer. And there will be likely construction traffic this summer, kind of using that new entrance at East Street. It would be just kind of north of what's now the JV baseball field. So that's kind of high level what will be going on towards East Street this summer.
And the second question on the solar panel, Chris, would you answer that?
Yep. So the building currently is not scheduled to get the solar panels on it as part of the day 1 operation opening, but we are planning for solar panels in the future. So we're making all of the structural engineering and electrical space for solar panels to be on the building. So it's not part of the current buyout, the current project budget, but the provisions for it are coming. And Chen, I'll take the next one too, with the building having LEED certificate like the current building has. It will be LEED certified. I believe we're targeting it's the reimbursement rate of the MSBA, and I think that gets us to about silver on LEED. And so that is what the target is, and I think that's a good goal for the town. Sets a very high standard. So.
Does anybody else have any questions? So I guess if not, I thank you very much for attending tonight. Please keep up with the project website through the school website, and any questions you have, please forward them to us through the website, and we'll address them as quickly as we can. So with that, I'm going to say good night and thank you, and we'll see you next time.